In a significant geopolitical and economic breakthrough, the United States and Ukraine have signed a long anticipated agreement that could reshape Ukraine's future and redefine global energy markets. This deal, months in the making and fraught with behind the scenes tension, sets in motion a joint effort between the two nations to tap into Ukraine's vast natural resources, including highly sought after minerals like lithium, titanium, and graphite. These elements are essential to a wide range of modern industries, from renewable energy to defense systems, making the deal not just about reconstruction, but also about strategic leverage in a rapidly changing world. Welcome to In the Know News, where we bring you deeper insight into the stories that matter most. The agreement outlines the creation of the U.S. Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund designed to inject capital into Ukraine's war-ravaged economy while simultaneously boosting America's access to critical minerals. These resources are especially important given the ongoing U.S. trade conflict with China, which currently controls around 90% of the world's rare earth supply. In this context, Ukraine's largely untapped reserves represent a powerful alternative that could loosen China's grip on the global supply chain. Speaking from Washington, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent hailed the deal as a commitment to Ukraine's long-term peace and prosperity, adding that it would unlock Ukraine's growth assets. The statement marked an unusually strong expression of solidarity from President Trump's administration. In its language, the announcement condemned Russia's full-scale invasion and made it clear that no entities backing the Kremlin's war efforts would benefit from Ukraine's reconstruction, drawing a firm moral and political line. Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko traveled to the U.S. Capitol to sign the agreement, later announcing that the fund would support projects in oil, gas, and minerals, though Ukraine would retain ownership of its natural assets. She emphasized the 50-50 partnership basis, underlining that this is not a resource sell-off, but a strategic collaboration. However, the deal still requires ratification by Ukrainian lawmakers. Behind the scenes, the path to this agreement was anything but smooth. U.S. officials accused Kyiv of attempting to revise key terms at the 11th hour, particularly around transparency and governance mechanisms. A source close to the negotiations pointed to concerns over fund management and ensuring that every dollar of aid could be traced, a reflection of Washington's insistence on accountability. President Donald Trump had been a vocal advocate for the deal, framing it as essential to unlocking future security assistance for Ukraine. He reportedly made clear in meetings and calls that access to Ukraine's mineral wealth was a necessary precondition for continued American support. During a recent call into News Nation, Trump said he pressed President Zelensky to finalize the agreement during their meeting at Vatican City following Pope Francis's funeral, saying bluntly, "Russia is much bigger and much stronger. We got to get rare earth." Notably, the finalized terms fall short of what President Trump initially demanded, namely, repayment for all past U.S. military aid since the conflict began in 2022. However, some concessions were extracted from Kyiv, including strategic access to certain mineral resources and commitments to joint development. The Kremlin has yet to publicly respond to the deal, which comes at a delicate moment when ceasefire discussions between Moscow and Washington remain ongoing. The agreement, however, signals that the U.S. is deepening its stake in Ukraine's future, not just militarily, but economically. For Ukraine, the deal represents both a lifeline and a complex bargain, an opportunity to attract global investment while navigating the pressures of post-war recovery and international diplomacy. At its core, this agreement is more than a financial transaction. It is a strategic pivot, a geopolitical signal, and an economic gamble. It underscores the changing balance of power in the post-invasion era and positions Ukraine as a central player in the future of energy and materials critical to modern civilization. As always, we'll be watching the next moves closely. Thanks for joining us on In the Know News, where you get the full story behind the headlines. Stay informed, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next report.